Welcome to Debrief. This is Rashika and I'm your host for the day. I would be taking you through the highlights of the webinar on a very vital topic, Combat COVID-19 with Resilience. This was organized by DG Shield and Indian Medical Association Nagpur on 16th August 2020. As per the recent development, the recovery rate rose to 72% along with the constant rise of active COVID cases. Although a little victory over the significant drop in death rate, which is currently 1.9%, the war is yet to end. Each new phase of COVID-19 uncovers various unique aspects that still needs to be addressed with updated knowledge. Along with the complications surrounding the nature of the virus, an incomplete study of the same can create fatal mistakes while creating unnecessary panic in patients. It is through constant follow-up of the recent studies conducted on various parts of the world and at different levels that the virus can be defeated entirely without causing any further stress in society. To update the knowledge base and address all the concerns, DG Shield connected with the Indian Medical Association Nagpur to have an insightful discussion on how to combat COVID-19 with resilience. Dr. P.P. Joshi, who is currently holding a position as a head of the Department of General Medicine in AIIMS Nagpur, started by explaining the cause of having no taste and smell in COVID as a most common symptom, as almost 80 to 84% of the patients face the same. He shared some factual details about the drugs commonly used, but with very little chance of beating the mortality rate. He further addressed a very common query of many doctors that whether the COVID-19 virus is airborne or not. Let's just dive into the video and get to know about it.
Whether it was initially thought that coronavirus or COVID-19 is basically transmitted from one person to another and it is airborne. Therefore, the advocacy of masks and everything. But it is now very clear that it is not only the transmission of this virus basically occurs through contact and droplet infection, infections. So when a person comes in contact with a person within a meter of 1 meter distance, and when a person talks or when he coughs, or infected person talks or he coughs or he sneezes, he exhales out, emits droplets, and these droplets are present in the air for some time, and then they settle down in the surrounding area. And if that person who is come in contact with that person that touches that droplets and then touches his nose and mouth, he can get infected. This is the most accepted method by which the COVID-19 spreads. But I must confess that this we know very little about the transmission even now, and it is definitely airborne. It is not so important as airborne infection. In fact, was very common. The only method by which H1N1 and the previous SARS infection spread. But for this virus in COVID-19, this coronavirus 2, SARS virus 2. This virus has got different properties. This is much more infectious as compared to the previous SARS epidemic.
Up next, Dr. Anand Kate, who is currently the chairman of IMAPS, started to dispel the doubts regarding whether the virus is present in the body fluids like tears, semen, and urine. He explained about the transmission process by agreeing to the cause of its presence in the body fluids. He further shared that the virus doesn't transmit from pregnant women to their babies, thus suggesting precautionary measures even while breastfeeding. Dr. Anand Kate guided the standards as to what should be done if a patient turns positive. Let's just dive into the video and enlighten ourselves.
Today only I had a talk with municipal commissioner. If your patient is positive, I told him I asked him where should I send. If he is a mild case or doesn't have or asymptomatic patient. What I was thinking, I should send it to a government facility so that they can direct him. But what he told us is that you don't need to send the patient to a government facility. You can send him home directly for home isolation and just inform the corporation about, of course, the lab already informs the corporation, but you also have to inform the corporation that such and such patient of yours in the OPD has come positive, and whatever protocol for mild patients you have, you can start the treatment and ask him for home isolation and ask his close contacts to get tested.
The webinar turned even more interesting when Dr. Archana Deshpande, an assistant professor of general medicine in GMC Nagpur, advised that although the transmission isn't possible through food items, proper precautionary measures should be taken in terms of fruits and vegetables. She provided proper guidelines in order to safeguard the body through pets. Through a case study, she shared an experience where the RT-PCR was positive even around 40 days. Let's just understand the case through her.
Convey that though they say that its disease is mild, but even after 40 days, the RT-PCR was positive. Because as Joshi sir said that though it is for discharge policy, RT-PCR is not required. But you can imagine, we have one resident, he was positive. His lecturer denied that unless and until his swab is negative, he won't allow him to join. The problem is, though the discharge policy, we don't require any swab, but suppose I want to join my interns or my residents in whom we are very close to the contact. So everybody wants that their RT-PCR should be negative, then and then they can allow them to join. So there are some possibilities different for theoretical purpose, and when you are really working with them, the things are different with different people.
Dr. Meena Mishra, who is holding a position as the head of the Department of Microbiology in AIIMS Nagpur, started her lucid talk by suggesting antibody detection for those patients who have recovered but their RT-PCR tests suggest as positive. She explained the reason behind the RT-PCR result suggesting inconclusive is because of the insufficient material from the patient. Let's just directly hear from her for what should be done if a COVID patient has to go through emergency surgery.
And now officially it is not it has been documented that the antigen shedding normally it could take place for 28 days, and after the sufficient quantities, now suppose now if that patient needs to be taken for surgery, then in that case I think we should first go in for RT-PCR. It has to come negative, and if it is presence of IgG in that condition, then we can be taken. And of course, the same rule that we applied for HIV holds true for COVID also, that every patient needs to be treated as if he or she is COVID positive, and those standard precautions, they need to be followed at all times.
The webinar ended on a good note when Dr. Nirmal Jaiswal, a president in AMS Nagpur, suggested that through a quick 6-minute walk test, it can be identified if mild symptoms is turning to moderate. He also suggested the doctors to take proper care of themselves and invest in suitable PPE kits and products to save their lives first. On being asked why N95 masks are opted out for use, let's just hear his reply.
For this, when they start using this, what you call it as hospital, what you call it as things outside the public, outside the hospital, the public start using it, we'll get a shortage, and it has been found that there was a shortage in the healthcare workers. So those things which the healthcare worker will get protected. So it should be available in the hospital settings where the corona or may not be in non-COVID.
He's talking about the mask with the wall.
Mr. Dipen Mehta, CEO in DG Shield, took the chair where he discussed in detail how DG Shield is enabling doctors to safely and securely practice these testing times of COVID-19. DG Shield can conduct a quick and effective COVID-19 carrier risk screening of every patient before visiting clinics. You can log on for more information about DG Shield on www.dgshield.me. To view the complete webinar, click on the debrief menu. For now, this is Rashika signing off until next time. Stay safe, stay strong.